All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
These are kind of fun teams to talk about.
I love this division. This division is going to be so fun.
Oh yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Like I know we'll talk about it at the end, but like how we see this shake out, I'm really intrigued to see how you see this.
I'm interested in your take as well. Derek Carr, totally viable fantasy starter.
Absolutely
top 10 guy probably.
Already was, and then you inject Davante Adams in there. Like
sure,
yeah, absolutely. I think the 28 touchdowns I have right here are probably pretty low. I think he crosses that threshold now that he has Adams.
Oh, I think so too. I think.
Yeah.
I think like the 34 you had from Mahomes is probably more the ballpark.
Yeah, it's probably Darren Waller. Darren Waller's going to have more than 5 touchdowns, I imagine, right? So I'll bump that up.
Oh, I would think so. I mean,
I'll bump that up a few. I mean, Carr, I don't know if Carr's actually ever in his career thrown for more than 30, and that might have been part of my hesitancy. But
yeah, but he's never had a guy like that. I mean, I don't know. I guess he threw to Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper back in the day. But
yeah, he did that, and he was really good. That was his MVP.
He was great. I thought he was the most valuable player that year.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Running backs. I'm not that excited about the running backs.
No, Josh Jacobs, I think, is one of the most overrated players in fantasy. Remember, Josh McDaniels is coming in here, Patriots committee nightmare, and that's music to Josh Jacobs' ears.
Oh yeah,
he has been a top 15 running back in back-to-back years. I think this is a year it falls, and it falls drastically. Jacobs is saying, I want running mates. I don't want to be the guy. I like committees so I can stay fresh. And like, I guess good for him, his NFL career. Horrible for us fantasy owners. And who's more important than us, truth. I mean, come on, Josh Jacobs. You're not running hard for me. You don't want all your 270 carries for the guy sitting in Beverly, Massachusetts, recording a podcast about you. Who are you? Who do you think you are?
I know, seriously, the nerve of this.
We pay your bills, Josh.
And we do.
No, I think it's going to be a mess. And that's, as you can see, the running back shares here, 45 to Josh, 25% to Zamir White, who they're already saying they didn't pick up the 5th-year option on Josh Jacobs because they want to groom Zamir White as their back of the future. The rookie they took this year, Kenyon Drake, we know is a fairly capable guy who probably will be the lead receiving back. So you're splitting up the rushing pie about 3 ways. You're splitting up the receiving pie 3 ways. Maybe Jacobs. I actually really do like Jacobs as a player. So if you told me he's suddenly going to get 60% of the work here across the running and receiving games, I'd put him right back into my top 15 running backs. I just don't see that happening because that's not how Josh McDaniels operates. That's not how Josh Jacobs wants to be used. So no, I don't think it happens.
Receiving core, especially when you include Darren Waller, which you have to. Now that gets pretty exciting.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, you're taking Davante Adams, who. Everybody knows Cooper Kupp was the best receiver in the NFL last year, but most people, I would say, if you had said who's the best receiver in the NFL, I think most people probably would have said Davante Adams. If you said Kupp, I hear you. I mean, he's had the best season, certainly, of anybody. Davante Adams leaving the Packers in what I at least perceive to be a gigantic fuck you, which I really, really, really enjoyed. And I know you did too.
100%.
Just like
we didn't even talk about Rodgers' tattoo, by the way. Did you see that?
I saw it yesterday after we got off the air. I was listening to podcasts. I was kind of watching some like sports with the sound off, and I flipped through like kind of like a news magazine on my phone, and I came across that was one of the stories I came across. I almost texted you. I was like, nah, he just talked to me for 3 hours. He probably doesn't want to talk with me about it.
You should have. We could talk. I could talk to you for 10 hours, truth.
It's true. I feel the same way. But what a dipshit. Anyway, he left with a huge FU. You have to think his numbers are going to go down a little bit. I mean, Derek Carr's good. He's not Aaron Rodgers, but you never know, man. Like, I mean, the reason they have to go down is because some of those numbers were just insane. Like, almost seemed unreal. Like, his red zone usage, stuff like that with Rodgers, like that's unparalleled. You still like him for over 100 receptions, over 150 targets, over 10 touchdowns. Great numbers. We think he's still going to be one of the top guys. What do we have him like? What do you have him, 6th or
number
something?
5, right? Yeah, number 5.
Somewhere around there. Now, the next guy, Hunter Renfrow, I've been saving this one. This is your biggest significant discrepancy of any player at any position between your projections and your big board. And it's really significant because you have guys with bigger discrepancies, but they're further down. When you're talking about guys that are like your wide receiver 60 or 65 or something like that. But this is a huge one. You have Renfrow projected as your wide receiver 12, but you have him 27 on your big board.
Whew.
Explain that for me.
Yeah. So,
I mean, that's a massive discrepancy
yeah.
for a high number.
We'll cross Adams off the bridge in the sense of like you summarize it perfectly. Like he's going to still be a top 5 guy, but he's not going to be the number 1 guy where he was seeing 180 to 200 targets a year.
Not going to have 18 touchdowns or
insane.
something like that. Right?
He has the nice pre-established rapport with Carr. I guess the one downside is they're talking about him playing exclusively outside, and he did a lot of his damage when they moved him in and found mismatches.
Yep.
I still think he's just that good that it doesn't really end up mattering. But I also think the slot role is why I have Renfrow so high here. A Patriots receiver was on pace for 150 or more, the slot receiver for the Pats, in every single year that McDaniels has been there, other than like the Cam Newton era. Tom Brady's a part of that, but I think him and Carr are very similar in style, not level of talent, but style. He likes the checkdowns. He likes the safe throws. We've seen Renfrow become his go-to security blanket. I think even with 156 targets going to Adams, with 130 probably going to Waller, I still think there's room for I'm going to bump down Renfrow probably to 125-ish targets. I have him at 144
So
now.
you're going to change your projections, not your big board ranking.
Yeah, and
interesting.
It's just because the guys around him are so damn good. But at the end of the day, I mean, Renfrow could catch 100 balls. It's a belief in the role of a system, which can always be a risk. But he is just such a damn good slot receiver. And he's actually particularly slippery in the red zone, especially as that connection with Carr in there, that like it seems insane to have 109 catches, 1,100 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That seems crazy. But I think we're going to all look back. Like when Randy Moss came to the Pats, nobody wanted Welker. It was like, 9th, 10th round. And Welker put up, a solid 1,206 and 110 catches, even with Moss putting up 27 touchdowns. It's something nuts.
Okay, let's play a little game here with Renfrow real quick. I'm just going to name a player, and you tell me if you'd rather have them or Renfrow. Okay?
I know I have Renfrow projected above all of them. It's just
no, not all of them.
The other part of this.
Would you rather have Rashad Bateman or Hunter Renfrow?
Bateman, the number
really?
one.
Would you really?
I don't know.
Not me, man.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Darnell Mooney or Renfrow?
The difference with those guys is like their ceiling case is both of them, Bateman and Mooney, could end up going for like 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. Very unlikely they hit that,
maybe.
But they have the path to maybe being a number 1 receiver. Renfrow is always going to be at least nibbling with Adams, and if Adams went down, Waller's still there. Like he would take 2 injuries, whereas those guys are both number 1 primary targets on their teams. I guess Andrews is there with Bateman, but number 1 receiver for sure. So it is just like the ceiling. I think I have what I've done here is I probably projected Renfrow at his peak. Like there's no way he's going to ever get better than 109, 11, 107. But I also don't think he's going to be like that much lower than them. The other thing too is like you can get him in round 7 or 8. Like I've been loading up on Hunter Renfrow at his price. So like there's that whole balancing act, right? Of like they're just like I like Renfrow's floor more than either of those guys you just mentioned, but the ceiling case for both of them feels a lot higher than what Renfrow could do. I guess I don't know. I really do like Renfrow. I don't want to.
It's not a terrible defense.
I do love Renfrow.
Also,
I don't want to come off anti-Renfrow. I really do.
You're not coming off anti-Renfrow. I think you love the guy. I'm surprised that you don't. That I thought it would go the other way. I thought you would move him up your big board instead of moving the projections.
I'll have to
27 seems low to me. Also, as an aside, I'm just looking at the receivers in this category. So funny that Renfrow, who I think you have ranked a little low, is solidly like 3-4 spots above DK Metcalf.
The pictures of them side by side.
You're just like
shirtless.
Nah, man.
Shirtless.
Nah, I'm not interested in that guy, and it's true. I'm really not. I'm not. I mean, I never thought I would say like, I'm not really interested in DK Metcalf.
Right? Oh man, what is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments. Check out some more videos and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.